Hi everyone, welcome to episode 36. I am so excited to bring you today Sara Matthews. Sara has 2 degrees in marketing concentration, an MBA, and a degree in sociology. And then later in life, she went to have a MA Art and in book, graduate from the Corcoran College in Arts. And she teaches currently bookbinding printmaking at Alma Thomas Fellow at the Studio Gallery in Washington, D.C. So I hope you enjoy our conversation about printmaking and bookmaking and all the things that entails, where she takes inspiration from her colors and her great message about just doing things that you want to do despite of whatever is happening around you. And I also, if you are a Patreon member, you can see the videos and details of her books that she showed to us and her prints and things like that. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Sara Matthews. I would like to announce the new community for the podcast and how can you support this podcast with Patreon. Now we have a community at Patreon, patreon.com/artisticallyyou-podcast. We have tiers to provide you with many different ways to help the podcast and receive some perks and benefits. Also, you can start just with a tier that costs literally the price of a coffee. It would help a lot of the cost of the podcast, but also to have exclusive content, get-togethers, and all kinds of perks in the future. We have already set up many tiers that you absolutely will enjoy. I would like you to check, and I can't wait to see you there. Again, patreon.com/artisticallyyou-podcast. I'll see you there.
Welcome to the Artistically You podcast, where mixed media art is a place for all. Here, we are going to talk about art as a mindful practice, connect with our creativity, and embrace curiosity. This is your host, mixed media artist, Jana Oliveira.
All right. Sara, thank you so much for being in the podcast. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, it's such a pleasure and honor to have you here. I've been following your work for such a long time and following your YouTube conversations with Nat. We're going to talk about that later, but I'm just so excited that you are here. But tell people, first of all, where do you live and where you're located right now?
I live in Columbia, Maryland. I've been in Maryland for most of my life, but I am a military brat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a military brat. So we lived in Japan and North Carolina and New York. So yeah, this is the place we've lived the most.
Wow. It's amazing. And so probably that influenced your art. We're going to talk about that.
Oh yeah,
So
definitely.
tell people what you do in your art.
Oh, so I am a book artist and printmaker. So I
Yes.
kind of say that I make prints and then make books out of those
Out
prints.
of the prints. Yes. Oh my gosh, I love bookmaking as well. We're going to talk about that. So, and I talked to Natalie, and we have an episode with, we are talking about Natalie Kolbach. And I just love because your art, I'm very attracted of colorful art. I think because my art, I'm very colorful. I mean, I am Brazilian after all. And and it's just the printmaking for me is such an impact. But I think printmaking is something that we don't talk a lot about as a art. So I would like for people that are listening and watching, if they don't know really what print, maybe they heard about it, but they don't know what it is. Could you explain to them?
So printmaking can be done with pretty much anything. I say that because when I did go to school, when I went to the Corcoran College of Art and Design, I learned how to do relief printmaking, screen printing, those type of things. But then when I was home, especially during the quarantine, I was like printing with everything, like even the boxes from Amazon and like the bubble wrap. Like I was really like getting
Recycling.
into using what I had at home.
Oh, wow.
Because I didn't have access to a press during that time. So I feel like you can print with almost anything. And I think when you do that, when you utilize other materials, that's called a holograph.
Ah.
So if you glue it, you take a a plate and you like, this is an example. This is a Holograph. I made these with foam, so like a sticky back foam.
Oh, yeah.
So just cut it out, and then it already have the adhesive on it. So I just use this to print.
So some people would call that a stamp. What's the difference?
Yes, that is exactly the same thing. I think like in the art world, that's the
Yeah.
term it's called, Holograph, but in
It
layman's
makes
term, it's a stamp.
fancier. It makes fancier, right?
Yeah.
So the printmaking, it's different than screen printing, because screen printing you pass the paint on that surface, but the printmaking,
Yes.
it can be done in any kind of surface, right?
Yes. Yes. You can print on fabric. You can print on pretty much anything. I have printed on my wall. So you
Yes, you
definitely
had
can do
a
it.
video, yeah. And but also, when I think about printmaking, I think about patterns, because everything is so pattern rich. So is that always has to be the case? Is that a
No, I don't think so. Like I just made something yesterday that is not quite a pattern. So it's like more like mixed media. So here it is right here.
Oh, wow.
So it's not necessarily a pattern. It's just a mixture of different things.
Yeah,
So
so if you are
I don't
just
think
yeah, if you're just listening, she showed basically a paper that has many kind of prints in the same paper in different colors. That basically
yeah,
that you could even transform that on a wrapping paper.
definitely. And
Yeah.
what I have been doing too is I consider myself like, sometimes I don't like to make multiples of my prints. So I'll make one and then I scan it into Photoshop and then tweak it and
Yes.
then print it on my printer. So that way I can continue to
To
utilize that
use.
pattern over again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. And you said I don't have the print machine. So do you have a machine? Is that what you use? Is a print? I don't know the correct name of the official, like when you are.
Oh, oh, a printing press. So I didn't
Yes.
have access to a printing press, like an etching press here at my house. So I was printing with my hands. So I'd use leather, um,
So the press is
brayer.
that to make bigger things? The press, or is
Yes.
okay
Yes, and then it has more of a pressure. So you
pressure?
know how like when you feel like the paper and there's like indentations, that's what you get from a press. Whereas if you're
Almost,
printing by hand, you don't get that deep impression,
yeah, almost like
unless
an emboss.
you're using wood. Yeah, unless you're using like wood or something hard to print with. Yeah.
So where usually people use the press, they are doing large quantities of products with that pattern. Is that um, maybe
Yeah. A lot of
shirts?
Yes, you can definitely do shirts. I know I work at several different art centers, and each one is different, but the one I primarily work out is Pyramid Atlantic in Hyattsville, Maryland, and they have several etching presses. They have letterpress, screen printing, and so there's access to utilizing those large, pieces of machinery. So that's what I was missing during the time that I was in quarantine, but I made the best out of the time that I had with what I had at home
What were you
to
doing when
continue
you were
doing my work.
using? What were you doing when you were using the press? What kind
So
of?
I was making wood block prints. So carving out wood,
Oh, wow.
or Sintra, which is like PVC plastic. So it's like softer than wood,
Yeah.
but harder than lino. So I would do all three of those. So lino, Sintra, and wood block is what I used to
Oh,
print with
wow.
all the time. And then when I came home, I started carving my stamps
And you have to
on the
accept that
rubber.
they don't work the same, right?
No, but I have like a drawer full of like these stamps that I've made, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
She's showing a
and
carved
I
stamp.
use yes, and so I use them. I now like if I do print with a woodblock print, that would be like the background, and then I would add my rubber stamps on top
Oh,
to add
some
those layers.
some details. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is another thing intriguing to me, because when I see printmakers, um, that's why I think I attract to your work, because when, because I follow some printmaking people, and especially because of the carving, and they have a very like one layer kind of work. And when I found you, I was like, oh my God, because we can see that you don't make that just simple one print and that's it. With you, you go beyond that. And
Well, I used to, before the pandemic, I used to do the one print.
one print. Oh my gosh.
And you know why? Okay, let me go back.
Okay.
So when I was getting my Master's of Art at the Corcoran College of Art and Design, and I was in screen printing class, but I was utilizing for like the background, I was using the Centra as a relief print to print the background, and then I would screen print on top. So when I was going to critiques before the assignment was due, I would say like, hey, this is only layer 2, but I intend to,
To
add
add more.
more layers. And people were like, oh no, this is fine the way it is. You don't want to do too much. Oh no, you can't. Even the professor was like, this is fine. Just go with this. And I'm like,
Because you
no, I
don't see
intend to.
much, right? You don't see
Like,
much.
this is kind of
Yeah.
boring to me. I need to like add more layers. So I ended up adding like at least 13 more layers to this
Oh
piece.
my God.
And
And they
then,
freaked out.
yeah, so when I brought the piece to class, because it was 3 books, people were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I wanted to add more layers.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
but because of that, I got really self-conscious of this technique. So I started doing one print things. But when I, again, was at home and to experience my own practice, I started re-implementing my layer technique. So,
But isn't that interesting when people get afraid to go out of that shell, right? Because printmaking, as I said, I have a book actually here about printmaking with these beautiful patterns, but they are just one pattern. Sometimes they are the round pattern, the round pattern. And it's very Renaissance kind of printmaking, but it's just to get inspiration about color combinations that I have, or sometimes a shape or something like that. I just flip through it just to get that inspiration. It's kind of a heavy book. It's like this. I joke that you could go bicep curls with that book. But people have sometimes this fear of going outside the box, right? And experimenting with their work.
definitely. And then there's others who are afraid to see you experiment because they think that you should stay in this box. And
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm over here outside that box,
So true.
playing and dancing and having fun. Because that's the whole thing about art. It's like sometimes we get so serious about how things should be, and this is how. If you're going to be an abstract impressionist, you have to follow this exact same code. Where you should be able to experiment and have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've always said this too, especially to my students, like you learn and remember better when you're doing the thing when it's fun. When it's not fun, you don't remember hardly any of it.
Yes.
So you might as well play, learn how to do it. And then when you're doing that serious work,
That's
you can
true.
apply what you learned during the fun times into doing that serious work.
That's so true, because even when I was, I did psychology and, childhood psychology and special needs. The classes that I like to, the teachers now, we talked, and I was, of course, more excited about, especially the applied behavior and autism class. So because we discussed, and it was close to me, right? I have autistic son, and I was there because of him. So I kind of had better grades in that class than, for example, when we had to study Freud, because I hate Freud. I don't like his, I don't like his kind of field. So I had to make a class of that, and I was like, but my other classes, like, I thrived on them.
Right.
Yeah. But
Exactly.
you were saying that you teach. What do you teach? Do you teach printmaking or art in general?
I teach printmaking and bookbinding or book artistry. Currently now I'm teaching artist books at MICA. It's the Maryland Institute of College of Art. I also teach classes pretty much anywhere I can get my hands on. So I've taught at Minnesota Book Arts, Center for the Book Arts in San Francisco. I've taught at the Kalamazoo Book Arts
Wow.
Center, Pyramid Art Center, like anywhere that I can be, I will be.
So that is part of they are doing your students they are doing a degree in art, is that? And
No, no,
no.
this is the for fun arts, but the
Okay.
MICA is an undergrad
Okay. Okay.
college, yeah.
So
And then I also teach online too. So I have a couple of classes on Creative Bug. It's kind of like Skillshare, but
yes.
for
Yes, I
artists.
just
So I
saw.
have
It's
classes
amazing.
there.
Congratulations on getting there.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I
And
saw you
then I'm
advertising that.
doing the Creative Jumpstart with Natalie. So
Yes, I'm
there's,
gonna put
I
the
don't know.
link for those as well. And
Yeah.
so okay, so people maybe think, okay, I create these patterns and I can layer them. How, if you are artist of printmaking, you can sell your actual art on a canvas, right? Or you do on paper and you can frame them, right? Is that how people do usually? Or they create more the patterns to create other products like t-shirts, mugs, whatever. Or, maybe send to these stores that use the patterns for creating, you know, how
Yeah,
usually
I've
that they
sent
do their career.
so you could send it to a place like, what is it called? I can't it just fell out of my
Well,
mind. It's where you the fabric. It's like you can
yeah,
send your
fabric
prints,
companies and
yeah, and then they can print the
anthropology, things like that.
yeah, patterns. Um and then the other way you could do it, like printing it on bags. Like I print it
Ah,
directly
yes.
on bags.
Oh, you print
You know what I
directly.
mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Directly on the shirt. And then, I mean, I have done things where I've sent designs to like t-shirt companies and then they print them, but I really love printing it myself.
So for bags, do
So,
you use the canvas bags or is another kind of fabric?
if it's not canvas, it's always cotton. So cotton or linen is
Cotton or
what
linen?
is
Okay.
the best way to print. And I always use fabric block printing ink because after
Yes.
7 days,
And then you
it
can
when you
wash and
wash
everything.
it,
Yeah.
you can wash it. Yeah.
And it's safe. Yeah. So, okay.
hmm
So, since that day that you did that experimentation in the class, is that
hmm
how you started to include layers, or you were doing layers by yourself at home, or that was that assignment that brought that idea for you?
That was the assignment brought the idea because in that class it was screen printing, but a lot of different disciplines could take the class. So there were writers in that class, there were um anthropology students in that class. So it was different types of people, and they were bringing what their background to that class. So I figured, since I was a relief printer, I wanted to make sure to incorporate that with my screen printing. Yeah, I probably didn't score a lot of points with my professor by doing that, but I wanted to bring that part of me into that class. So, and I
Yeah.
also, of course, brought the book artistry because I'm like, I'm the only book artist in this class, so I better make books. You know what I mean?
Also, it's amazing when you say, because I heard your story before in the conversations you have with Natalie and other conversations, that you went to school, later, right? We are not talking that you went to art school as a 20-year-old, right?
No.
So I think it's a perfect example that sometimes, like I myself, I decided to go back to school, you know, way close to my 40s to in that time to help my son and to be more informed. So how was that experience for you? Because I have to tell you, for me, maybe because it was not art and it's not that fun, but for me it was a struggle to be with all these young people. and um and there were some experiences that were not so good because I started my degree, when you studied, because I did undergrad. So you have to study history and all that first classes that you have to do. And that was in Oklahoma.
hmm
And that was not a fun time of my life because I suffered many comments that were not nice. about my accent and things like that. So it was a very hard time for me. But I think I started to have fun with my degree when I then moved to New Jersey and started to really study what I wanted to study. So how was that experience for you? Because I have to tell you, everybody that talks about art school, they talk so bad about it. Like they suffered so much.
Wow. Okay, I did not have that experience
Good.
per se. Okay, so I have my undergrad in sociology and my master's of business from an HBCU. I went to Bowie State University, so all black college.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, amazing experience for me, right? Then, after I got my MBA, I think like a few months later, I was just like, I'm so bored because I was like not in class. Like I needed to do something. I needed to take something, right? And so I knew that for fun, I wanted to learn more about art. So I started taking art classes at my local community college because it's cheap
Yeah.
and amazing. So I did that. And then because I already had my undergrad, I, went to the counselor and was like, hey, so how can I just go ahead and get my associates in art since I'm already here, right?
Oh my gosh.
So well, I did because I already had the other, the science and all that
Yeah.
math and all that stuff was done.
Yeah.
All I had to do was take the core art classes, and that's all I did. Within 2 semesters, I'd had my associate's degree in art. Then I was like, so what else can I do? So around, what is it, 35? I think it was like 35. I decided I wanted to get my master's in art.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so again, coming from an HBCU and then going to this institution where I was the only Black person in my
Wow.
classes, the only, the only Black person in my class. So that was different, right?
Yeah.
And then people already have like these preconceived notions about you, thinking who you are, and then you have to like rise above those thoughts, every day, because at first look they thought I was young, but I'm like, no, I'm like 35. I've already have 2 degrees. Like, I don't have to be here. I paid for this. You know what I mean? It's like I can leave at any time. It's like, it's not, I don't need this for my
Right.
job, right? So this is really for fun for me. And yes, I struggled in the writing classes. I hated those. But
They are
all
not
the
fun.
ones that required us to make things, I thrived in. I had amazing time in, and I would recommend it to anyone. Um, so, but by the same token, I feel like I could have learned that stuff at any community art center. Um, but it's good to have that credential because I can teach at MICA now because I have that master's
Yeah.
degree. But I don't regret going to art school at all. One of the best times I ever had. I even, like I was saying to some of my art friends today, like I'm still like yearning for that experience from art school in my life today. Like I'm trying to recreate that. I'm trying to get the same presses that they had. I'm trying to get the same brayers that they have. I'm trying to get the same paper that they have because then I want the people too, because you get to bounce ideas off of those people
Yeah.
who are your colleagues, right?
Yeah.
And I miss that
That's
all
a
the
great
time. So
experience. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
And you said something interesting. I talked in the podcast with Sukai, and she's a curator for African art. And we were talking about this misconception that sometimes people think that black art has to be just people that draw black women, or it has to be angry art, or it has to be political art. And I also had an artist called Bocani, and I will put in the notes what is the number of the episodes, that do kind of a fluid, floral, abstract kind of art. And she said that people always get surprised when they discover she's a Black artist because of this type of art that she does. Because they have this idea that, and it's true, some Black people, I follow many artists that they do draw and paint Black women or Black families. But I mean, in the history of this country, how many artists painted we have in the capital? Many, white people that also painted white people, But do you think there is this box that they think that Black artists do some kind of work? So it's hard to think about our Black artists doing printmaking, or Black artists painting flowers, or a Black artist painting fluid art.
But I think, I think, again, we're talking about this box that people are making. And I feel like you should be able to make whatever you want to make.
Yes.
Like whatever that inspires you as an artist. So I think I would say later for all that and do what you love. Because life is short. We learned in the last 2 years.
Yes.
Like, life is short. You live your life to the fullest. If you want to do portrait art, go for it. If you want to do printmaking, go for it. If you want to sing at America's, Got Talent, go for it, because life is short. So I don't like boxes. I'm gonna do what I want. And then if today I decide, hey, you know what, I'm gonna do portraiture, yeah, cool. I do political art all the time. And I also make other art. So it's not just one thing.
Yeah, it's I mean, in art, in history, art has been an outlet for expression. All kinds of expression, right? But I think sometimes us women, we get a little bit labeled what kind of art to expect from us. And I just think society sometimes does that to women. But going back to your art, so you have these layers, but I think your colors are fantastic. So how do you get, first of all, how do you get that inspiration? Okay, how's the process? And I know you're participating. Right now, this podcast is being recorded in December 2021. And right now, in the month of December, there is a challenge on Instagram by Julie Fenfei Bowser, which I do coaching with. She does Carve December. And you are participating. And so you have, of course, she gives prompts and everybody's participating. There is a hashtag Carve December if people want to look it out later. So what do you think? Okay, I have this idea. I'm going to carve this. How do you think the color combination you're going to do?
I always start with the lightest color and move to the darkest. So it doesn't matter what the color combination is, but it can't be like, you can't put like yellow and purple together because you're going to get brown. So those things I take into into account. So you don't want to do red and blue because you're going to get brown.
We have to know a little bit of the color wheel to do what you do, because you are putting the things on top of the others. So if you don't know a little bit of the color wheel, you're going to be in trouble.
Right. And I just messed up. I meant to say red and green, not red and blue. Red and green, you're going to get brown. So you gotta know that part before you start printing. But the funny thing is, I got a C in my color theory class.
Color theory is hard.
I think because like I was either bored or I just didn't like how they were teaching it. I just didn't really, grasp it. But along the way, I figured it out. You know what I mean? So,
listen, I had many courses about color theory, something that I really like. And I bought a book. And when I bought this book, I was like, this book blew me away because you went so much deeper than what I thought. And there's so much. And I was like, okay, this is a little too much right now. My brain is kind of like... And I got afraid of the book. And I'm trying to go little by little, but it's kind of a deep hole.
Yeah.
But do you have any print close to you that you're doing for Carve December that we could show? I know I didn't ask you
Oh,
before. Okay, so she's showing a pattern that is kind of circles, right? But a circle, there is some
oh, it's upside down.
rectangles. Yeah.
It's
Q.
so basically, yeah, this is the prompt was alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I carved out the O's and one Q. And really it was about, I mean, it was like, to me, it racked my brain because I was basically thinking about how it felt to be the only Black person in the room and also representing all Black people and how exhausting that can be.
Yeah.
But I try to be more lighthearted after this prompt, but, but I was like, this is when you said alone, I thought about all the times I would be in class and I'm like, there's nobody like me. They don't understand me.
Yeah.
But
It's hard. Yeah.
yeah.
So so you said I grab the darkest to the lightest to the darkest. But that means
Hmm.
that you don't think about colors before? You just grab whatever's close to you?
I have all the pads right here in front,
Ah.
and I just set them out and then whatever I feel that I want to do, I just go with
Yeah,
it.
she showed some ink pads for us, for the ones that are listening.
Yeah, I use VersaFine Clear as my number one,
I
and
know Natalie used that as one. Is that your favorite?
yes, because it really has really
I can see
deep
there's,
colors.
yeah, and I can see there's a crisp print, right?
Yes, yes, that's why I like them. And then I've been using Moonlight White. This is by the Moon and the Maker, KP, and for my white. So this is another one where I printed the white, and I like how
Oh,
it
she's
shows up.
showing a black background with some
This,
kind of, it looks like stars, right?
yes. So the prompt
And
for
you
this
have
one was
gold.
bland.
Ah, it had
Yeah.
gold there. How do you do
Hmm.
this gold?
So I use the Delicata ink. It's by the same company that does the VersaFine
The,
Clear. I don't even I
okay.
have it on my. Oh, here it is. Delicata.
Ah, I didn't know about this one.
They
Yeah.
do silver and gold. Mhm.
So, but printmaking can be done with ink as well, like printmaking ink, right? Instead of,
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah, instead
definitely.
of stamping pads, they can be
Yeah.
done with.
So this was I started using these during the pandemic
Uh, mm-hmm.
because my daughter at the time was 4, and every time I would roll out ink with the brayer, she would put her hand in it. So I had to figure out something else so she wouldn't like get the ink everywhere. Because you know how printmaking ink, it just goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was my
But when you
solution.
guys use the big press, you do use the ink, right? The big press.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And
Hmm.
okay, so then you started making all these prints, and so when did you get inspired, or did you discover you said I want to do books, handmade books, bookmaking? I love bookmaking.
Okay. Okay. So here's how the story went. So I knew I wanted to get an art degree, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do because I thought I wanted to do interior design because I was watching all this HGTV stuff. But they posted um, this degree called Art in the Book, and I thought at the time I was making invitations. This would be a great thing for me to do because they do letterpress, so I'll
Mm-hmm.
be able to letterpress my invitations. That's what was my thinking,
Ah.
right? But 4 semesters into the program, I took bookbinding 1 and advanced printmaking. And that is pretty much what I do every day. Those 2 classes in my
Wow.
life. Because doing them both and the fact that they were in the same semester like changed my trajectory on how I do my art.
So what kind of bookmaking are you doing? What kind of binding do you usually do?
My favorite is flag books. So they're based off of the accordion, and then you just cut out flags.
Ah, the flag book. Okay.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay.
So this one, I created after I was watching this thing on Washington Post
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, and it was talking about like the scenes, what happened after Breonna Taylor was killed,
Mm-hmm.
and it was talking about how they were being prosecuted for like putting holes in the walls, you know, because the neighbors could
Mm-hmm.
have been hurt too based off
Mm-hmm.
of what was happening, right? And this is a departure from anything that I normally do because this book has no color
Mm.
that got holes in it.
Oh, it's beautiful. I think you guys that are listening, do you usually just do the flag books?
That's my main thing, but I also do artist not well altered books.
Mm-hmm.
So I take an existing book
Yes,
and then
that's
I
what I
rebind it.
I love that. Yeah.
So
Which,
and utilize.
yeah, and let me show you. Me, in my ignorance, I call junk journal.
That's the same thing.
Yeah,
Same
but
thing.
I'm not, um, I'm not I don't know all the terms and things, but I did this stitching right here,
Oh yeah, yeah.
right? And this
Uh-huh.
is this is cardboard. I just put a
Yes.
and I put a bunch of things that I paint, um, and even like my son, he was a little younger. My son brings stuff from from school, and I would put there because I'm like,
Oh.
they send all these things. Why I'm not,
Yeah.
it's
You're like, what do
personal.
you do
Just
with it?
yeah, this is my
Exactly.
personal. So, for example, here you see in the back is
Yeah.
his learning writing, and
Nice.
they would send, and I said, well, I don't want to trash this, and I thought
No.
if I put on a book, so you see also there is like things that go wrong and papers that I painted that or jelly prints and things like that, but I just love doing books.
Yeah,
Back
me
in
too.
back in the days when I was in scrapbooking, I actually used to do a lot of books. I actually taught a little online class about books. I used to do mini albums, what they call mini albums. Um,
Hmm.
but I think it's just so amazing for you to create something out of just the papers that you have. It's just
Yeah.
amazing. And I would buy these books. There's several books out there to teach you all kinds of stitching methods, but I like the simple ones, the three thing, and that's it.
The
I know,
pamphlets that.
yeah, I don't. I know there is Coptic, and
Yes.
I don't have attention enough for that. I don't have patience. So
I
it's
say the same thing about etching. It's a printmaking technique. And somebody was asking me if, I would teach printmaking and it would be primarily intaglio or etching. And I was like, I don't have the patience for that. I'm sorry. No.
so. But your printmaking, what is amazing is that you create all your designs, like you carve all your designs, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And you also have a set of stamps with the art forms, right?
Yes. And
Yeah,
I
and
would say about like 95% of them were carved stamps that I transferred into a
I'm
file and
just
sent to them.
I'm just gonna put it out there like I wrote on your Instagram. Some of your carved December could be some art forms. Just
I know.
just putting out there.
I know. I I
Just think
and the
about it.
funny thing is this carved December I'm using scraps from my
I
my
know. And
bag of
it's
scraps.
sometimes when I see the video and you take these little pieces and I'm like, what is she gonna do with that? And it's just like amazing. But tell just people if they are not familiar with art forms, which I love, what is art forms?
Art Foamies is a wonderful place. It has a lot of different well, first of all, it's run by KP and her daughter Maxie and her
Yeah, it's a
husband
small
Mr.
business.
Mr. Moon. So it's just the three of them, but they're
Mm-hmm.
amazing people.
Yeah.
And a lot of different artists put their designs, um, and basic art for me carves them out of foam, and
Yeah.
then you can buy them, which is
Yeah.
pretty
And I
cool. So you can
have,
have a piece of that artist
I
with you.
was,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I was using some of Natalie's callback here so
Oh
you
yeah,
can see. Um, they are, and what I love about them for me that do abstract art is that, first of all, I think they are better to storage, but I just
mm-hmm.
like the flexibility and,
Yes.
but I love also the carving. I actually have carving materials here. I have to just get my head around it and do something. I feel a little intimidated but when I see Carved December, you guys do some cool pattern out of. I think sometimes we
Out of
think,
trash. We
yeah,
were making stuff out of trash. I
but
mean,
I
like,
think sometimes what intimidates me is that sometimes he thinks it has to be complicated, but then when you put
no.
just a O and a Q, and I was like, and then it makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's it. That's it.
It
Oh,
makes
like
sense.
this one, this is from the other day, and I basically just because the prompt was together, and
Mm-hmm.
so I just put a bunch of scraps on this easy mount foam, and then put it on this plexi, and then I just printed it in 3 different colors, and this is what I got. So it looks
Ooh.
like it was intricate, but it's scraps. I didn't even alter these. I took them out of my bag and just put them in here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And where do you get this
So,
plexiglass?
oh, this is Tim Holtz. Tim Holtz.
Oh, really?
It's yeah. It comes in different sizes. And
Ah,
then I got the easy mount cling,
the easy mount. Yeah.
and
I
yeah,
used
so
to
you can
do
take
that
the
when I used to buy rubber stamps without the backing. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So this is
They are great.
exactly what I did. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, but it
easy
doesn't
mount. That's
require me carving anything. I just threw some scraps on
yeah.
there, right?
Yeah. And
So
sometimes, yeah, when I
yeah,
when I saw you, I said it doesn't need to be that super cool pattern
nothing
because
serious.
I think
Yeah.
the secret of printmaking is that something ordinary like a circle and a Q, but combined and in different colors. That I think what makes
Mhm.
the
Yeah, like
special things.
so for today it was secret. So
Mm.
I did gifts, like presents.
Aw.
So it's basically just a rectangle and a cross and a
Mm-hmm.
bow. And that was out of scraps. Like where is it? Um yeah, I don't have it over here, but it was like out of scraps,
Yeah,
right?
little pieces.
So
Yeah, we can see that.
very, very simple. Very
Yeah.
simple.
So what are you gonna do with all your Carved December prints? A book?
I'm gonna make a book out of them.
Yeah.
I always do that. So there last year I made the book first
Mm-hmm.
and then printed in it, but this
Ah.
time I'm gonna take all the pages and because we're on 17, so now I'm gonna start printing on the back of the rest of them, the
Mm-hmm.
ones that I already printing on the back, so we can have more patterns. So when I could put it together into one book.
Yes. So as we have 40 minutes here on, tell people. I know you are teaching in Creative Bug, right? Um,
Yes.
how did you get that chance to be on the Creative Bug? So cool.
Um, so this was after George Floyd,
Mm-hmm.
and Creative Bug was recognizing the fact that they didn't have as many Black artists
Nope.
on their platform, and they recognized that they needed to get more. And so they said in the post, "Hey, if you know any Black artists, please tag them in this post." Well, somebody did. They tagged me.
Wow.
I didn't even know who they were.
Oh my
They tagged
gosh.
me, and then next thing I know, I got an email, and the rest is history. And I did
Wow.
go back and find that person and sent them a print because I was like so thankful that
Oh,
they actually recognized me because I didn't know who they were.
that's so nice of
You know what
you.
I mean? Yeah.
It's amazing. Good for them. Better late than never, right? Because, yeah,
Yeah.
that is something that I noticed that as well. And you have one class there or two classes?
Oh, I have a 30-day challenge. So that was like literally 31 classes.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I shot like 100 videos for that at my house because that time it was during
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they were
because
like,
Creative Bug has a studio that usually people go there.
yes, yes. But at the time, there was an uptick in California, and I was like, I'm not coming to California.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, and so after conversation, they're like, oh, and they only did this for like a few different people, but they were like, since you already do YouTube videos, you know, go ahead and shoot your own videos. And so I did. Now, when I got to do it, and when I got to go to their studio a few months ago, I was like, I want to do this way from now on because it's less stressful.
Yeah, and you can just be there doing people recording.
Right.
You don't have to think about
Exactly.
angles, quality.
No, no.
Yeah, that is amazing. So
That
it's
was
30 days of prints.
30 days of learning how to print different motifs.
Oh, wow.
And then you make a book at the end of each week. So you'll leave at the end of it 4 books with 4
Oh, wow.
books and tons of stamps.
Oh, wow. And for people that don't know, Creative Bug is super affordable. And if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong, they have a free trial. So,
Well, right now it's 6 months free and then 50% off for life. That's what it is now. So that's a
oh,
good deal.
wow. Yeah.
So
And
it's like $4 a month,
yeah, and
which
you
is
can,
still
yeah, and if I'm not wrong,
crazy.
you can even like sign up with Amazon or pay with Amazon, something like that. Yeah, but it's super affordable. They have sales going on all the time. And they don't teach just art, they teach all kinds of things like sewing and all
And how to
kind of
take care
things.
of plants,
Yeah.
which, yeah, I'm a plant mama, so
Oh, oh, I need to
they
take
have
a
that
look
too.
because I bought a house and I know nothing about plants and I want to have plants. And I'm
You're
tired
my
of buying
plant.
plants and they are
You want to see
dying.
my plant babies? Let's see. Wait, is
Oh,
that, where are they?
oh,
There they are.
wow. You have to tell me later what kinds of plants are better for the house because I have no idea. I don't
Well,
want to kill
I
them.
can tell you what's not. I can tell you what's not good for the house if you don't have humidity, because I've killed them all.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
you are also teaching at Creative Jumpstart with Natalie Kalbach. And
yes,
is that you doing one project? I think it is, right? Each person does one project.
yes,
Yeah.
and it's a 10-minute video per person, and that's why it's called Jumpstart because we're just giving you,
Like
you
that
know,
jump
a little
start.
bit, and then you take it on to the next.
And and do you plan to have class for yourself on your website or not?
You know, a lot of people ask me this, and I keep thinking that I'm going to do this, but I've been teaching so much that
Because you
I
already
don't know.
teach, right? You already teach.
Yeah, I already teach, so
And
I don't know yet, but maybe I mean, the viewers can like chime in here. I was thinking like maybe doing like once a quarter, where it's just like, hey, we're gonna stamp and make books for a few hours together or something like that. But I don't want it to be like too. I want it to be more spontaneous than
maybe
pre-planned.
maybe like a Zoom class that's people go and
Yeah,
have like I know Julie does his live Zoom classes of 3 hours, 2 hours. I've been to several of those. It's fun also because you see everybody working together and you have
yeah.
time to share and
But
it's
what I miss the most though is because we're doing Zoom. All I see is your head. You know what I mean? And I don't see what you're making, and that is, to me, it hurts my heart.
oh but in
So
so I've been in some live classes with Julie. There was one that was 4 hours about balance, or it was a principle of design. But some people, the way they put, you actually can see they sometimes people stand up, grab the materials. No, they are listening, and you can see, they doing. And yeah, but I mean, you cannot see the table, but they show up
no.
what they're doing. I mean, I have to tell it's different, but I have to tell you, for me, has been gratifying to be able to do classes with people that before I could not do because they used to do just in-person classes. and for me, it has been gratifying that way. More high-level classes online. You know,
But I also teach online, but it's not like through only me. So like
yeah.
if you do go to my website, I do have the list of all the classes that you can join.
Yes, you have.
And it's through Zoom. It's through Zoom too. You know, it's not only in-person classes.
And I
So
have
yeah.
to tell you, only another good thing. I always try to think something positive. I think another thing that is good at Zoom, actually, yes, we just see the person here, but at least we see the people. I like to see the people. It's bad when we just have the Zoom and you don't see anyone. It's kind of like, where is everybody? You know?
You just see their name
Yeah.
and no picture.
Yeah, and you see their faces when the teacher says something, or it's a homework, and like, when I did boot camp, she would say at the end the homework, and you see people like, you know.
Oh yeah, I had to like because it's not graded. I had to stop doing assignments in classes because people would just not do it. And I'm like, well, we can't move forward unless you complete the thing.
The
So it
assignment,
was
yeah.
just always a disaster. It was always a disaster. Like you were supposed to print your prints so that now we can make the book. Now you're gonna make a book out with a blank pieces of paper? Yes, they are. They're gonna make it.
Yeah, it's
So it's just like,
yeah. But to me, it was boot camp was really hard, but at the same time life changing for me. It was a totally different experience, but you're right. Like, I think what we liked is that to talk of the struggles of each artist about what they struggle about that piece and have a say and discuss, and or other people saying to you, oh, but I don't see that, Jana, that you see in that. I see this and this and this, and messages that some people wanted to do more art that has messaging, or some people want to do, we had all kinds of different people. And that was so rewarding to me. I felt like it was such a deep conversation, but very nerdy about art and color and, message and all that. And talking about that, the last thing that I wanted to talk a little bit is you do with Natalie Kalbach a YouTube series, video series, right? Talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to link your YouTube so people can take a look.
Yeah, so it's called Art Collab. And after here's how we started thinking about doing it. We did an Instagram live together where she interviewed me.
Pass the brush, yeah.
And
I saw that one.
We laughed, yeah. We laughed our heads off the whole time. And we're like, we should do this for real.
Yeah, you were so good.
And so, yeah, so we started with the first one where we exchanged supplies. No, I'm sorry, no, we exchanged books. So we filled up the first 4
you send each other books, yes.
And we sent it to each other, and then we had to finish it. And man, I cried.
Yeah. And you guys make us cry.
Cried.
And you guys make us cry. What I love about these conversations that you guys have is sometimes it's hilarious, and you guys are not afraid to talk about all kinds of topics, but sometimes they are kind of touching, right? And I've cried some moments listening to you guys, and sometimes I laugh so much. I think this is, I say this all the time. People love to say the bad things about internet and social media and blah, blah, blah. But hey, if it was not for that Pass the Brush, I would have not met your art. If it was not you guys doing that, these conversations that you have, and it makes me think about things, and you have that connection. And, we would not have these things if it was not for the internet. I mean,
that's true.
Maybe for you guys, you're just having a conversation between each other, but you really pass emotions to other people, because I'm there listening and I'm like, oh, sometimes I laugh so hard. And I just think also it's amazing to see your friendship forming, right? Because in the beginning, you guys were talking more about, arts, and but then you guys now are more, I think you know each other more. So it's great that you are not afraid to talk about, hard things. Sometimes, I think as women, and we have different races, we sometimes feel that we should not talk about because it becomes political. But to me, it's not political. To me, it's my life, right? If I talk about, for example, I am an advocate for, of course, acceptance and I know neurodiversity because of my son, because I see the things that I have to encounter all the time. I decide to live with him in public, right? Because of the way he, behaves, stereotypical things that people would say is not, aka normal, right? But it is my life, right? It's not political. It's not like, it is part of my life. I am here today doing this because of my son, right?
Right.
And you are there, your art is influenced by your race, your coming, your family. We all are, right? So it's just amazing, these conversations. And I know you guys are on break now for the holidays. And when are you guys coming back? I don't remember. You guys said that, but I don't remember. February. Yeah. So, and people, I would, take this time that we, I would take some time, look at her YouTube and go back and watch the ones, because you're going to be delighted. You guys should do also more Instagram lives, because that was so much fun.
My sister says the same thing. She's like, y'all don't do any lives anymore. And I'm like, I know. I know that, like, I am really into technology, but sometimes with lives, I feel like it's so unpredictable, and I feel more comfortable with doing it on Zoom. But
because it's I mean, it's not like totally public, right? It's not totally public. People have to register if they really want to watch it. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I feel like when you do Instagram lives, it's scrolling so fast that I can't like see
the
what
comments,
you're saying, and I can't respond. Whereas if you're looking at on Zoom and see the chat, I can go up and down and see what you said and then answer the questions. I feel more comfortable that way. But yeah, we should do something, especially since we're going to be doing season 2 next year. We should do a couple of lives before and get people to come.
Do you guys have a plan of the topics, or it's just like, let's go? We just have a man, but we don't plan a lot of things.
Oh, we do.
You do?
We do plan. Yeah, we plan a month in advance what we're going to do.
Look at you guys. So Sara, what is in store for you? What is your goals for the next year?
So I have a solo exhibition at the University of Indianapolis.
That is awesome.
That'll be, I think it's January 18th through, no, I'm sorry. That's not right. I think it's January through February. I can't remember the exact dates, but
I hope you showed that on your Instagram.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to show, and my mom and I are going to go visit the exhibition. And unfortunately, because of COVID, we can't have, a talk and all that good stuff, a reception, because, But either way, my mom and I are going to go visit it, and I'm going to video everything and, make sure everybody sees it.
Oh, that is awesome. Virtually. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
that's the thing I've been, wanting for years, is to have my own solo exhibition.
Yes.
And I'm just
when we have that in our mind, we work for it, we take steps ahead, the universe brings. This is what I believe, right?
Yeah. Oh, here's the thing. It's like I was doing a talk for them, and someone asked, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I would want a solo exhibition. I really want, that's what I'm striving for. And then after the call, they were like, hey, we're going to give you your first solo exhibition. I was like, what?
That's fantastic.
It's like, oh my God.
But hey, it's what I say. You have to put out there. You have to put
Yeah,
it
you
there.
have to say it. Now nobody's gonna know unless you say it. So
Exactly. So you're gonna have that. Are you any other plans of online classes or things like that?
so I filmed 5 classes for Creative Book. So the other 4 classes will be released next year.
So that will be coming. Okay. Yeah. And follow her on her Instagram. I'm gonna put again.
Yeah.
So her Instagram handle I'm gonna have on the notes and on the blog post, but it's I am Sara Matthews, Sara with H at the end. Because some Sarahs doesn't have the H. It confuses me. And her website is iamsaramatthews.com, and look at her shop as well. She has some prints to sell there. She has also some foam stamps, right, from Art Foam.
The large format. So the gigantic elephant that I used to print on my wall is there. And then I did a
I love that
woodblock
elephant.
print. Thank you. I did a woodblock print years ago that it's a self-portrait of me. So I had that translated into art for me. So that's also on my site too.
I'm so thankful for you to be here and talk
Thank
to
you for
us
having me.
a little bit about printmaking. And, I was crazy to know a little bit about your process. And I would encourage people to go to your Instagram and look at the Carved December. I know whatever point you are listening to this or watching on YouTube, just go back to her post when it's December 2021, and you're gonna see she's posting videos every day of the prompt.
Every day.
Which is amazing.
Every day.
And I'm like, how she can keep up with videos every day? And the amazing prints that's coming up from them. And let's hope they're gonna be foam stamps. I'm just keep hoping that. As you said, we have to put in the universe.
I did that last year. There's a Carved December art for me set.
Yes.
Yeah, so I will definitely
I saw some very good ones.
Some of them. Yeah, I put some of them, not all of them, but some of them.
You want to keep them all to you. So
or you can send me a list of what you think should be art for me, and I'll see what I can do.
So I would highly encourage to see. You're gonna have so much fun watching the videos, but also see. And I think if you are not watching the video and you didn't see when she showed the prints, I think her Instagram or her website is the best place, so you can see this layering that we were talking about, the colors, and you can see how it works. And you can see that she used not just patterns, but she used sometimes words, phrases, things like that. So you can use to kind of everything that you want. It doesn't have to be just, I just need to do triangles. No, you can use words. She did with elephants in the last one, right? When you created the elephant, stamp, you did the whole patterns with elephants. You did your wall. You did everything. So don't put yourself on a box, right? Printmaking can be all kinds of things.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Sara, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I appreciate you listening to the podcast all the way here to the end. And I would like to thank you so much. And to help us spread the word about the podcast, you can share on Instagram and tag me. I would love to share as well. And take a screenshot and tell me what you're doing while you're listening to the podcast. Or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate if you could do that. It really helps spread the word about the podcast. I will talk to you on the next episode.